everybody. It's Terry Wells Brown back with the Women of Wine Country radio show, and I want to thank you all for joining us. I actually forgot my cheat sheet, so I'm going to probably not get this absolutely right. Here we go. It's always good to have help. Friends in good places and high places. All right, Ed? Mm-hmm. My board guy, Ed, he's amazing. He also has a show on Saturdays and Sunday called The Phone Booth. So if you get a chance, tune in and see him. So this is TVOSJ, the voice of San Joaquin County Radio, 89.5 FM, KBCC Tracy. We are a local nonprofit multimedia community broadcasting network. That's a lot to say.
That's about
And I want to say, first off, thank you very much to Christine Taunton. I don't know if many of you have noticed that my intro music changed, but she gave me a custom intro from one of my Women in Wine Country gals. It's sizzling. We love it. And then also, I am so honored to have an amazing guest here, Miss JoAnne Mounce. Most of you all know who she is. She is our local Lodi City Council member who has been on, how long have you been on the City Council?
Oh, gosh, I was first elected in 2004.
Oh,
so
Lord.
It's embarrassing to say.
15. So we're looking at, 16
I'm on my 16th
years.
year.
Yeah, I keep thinking 2019 because I don't really want to get any older.
I know, me either.
I'm good with 54. I don't even care if people are like, "Oh, well, are you okay to saying how old you are?" Yeah, I don't care. I earned every year. I've earned every year.
They put mine in the newspaper all the time, so I don't really have a choice.
They do that to you, don't they?
They'll say JoAnne Mounce, comma 59, comma.
Ooh,
and
yeah. And you're like, okay,
interesting.
you know what? We just got to get to a point where we own it.
Yeah.
Like we're like, yeah, that's right. I earned every year.
Yeah.
Worked it.
And every wrinkle, and I'm happy with that.
Amen, sister.
Yeah.
All of it. All the hot flashes, all the things that come, right?
Right.
I know we're not supposed to talk about that. I talk about it all the time, but
Yeah.
people are like, don't talk about hot flashes. They happen.
Yeah.
I call them electrical surges.
Uh-huh.
It's better than, because honestly, you're a little achy and sore after they go away.
Sure.
Yeah, this has gone into a weird place, hasn't
Yeah.
it? Okay, so everybody, hey, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. I know everybody was really excited to have JoAnne here, and so I want to jump right in. JoAnne, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, as we already know, I've been a city council member for a few years, and but that's just my part-time
I know.
life. I also manage a firm in Stockton.
Mm-hmm.
Great team of people at Dougherty CPAS, and we specialize in entity tax returns and their owners. So,
Oh, wow. So you work primarily with businesses then?
yeah, primarily with businesses.
Okay.
We have a little logo and a motto, and that is, we save business owners money.
Oh.
Which, I have such a
And
great
California is such a need, right?
Constant challenge.
Yeah.
The laws are always changing, and it's our job to dive deep into tax law and figure out how best to save people money. So
That's great.
It's a great challenge.
Well, as a small business owner and have been for decades, we appreciate all of you who help us. Taxes are always scary. I don't like I don't like taxes. I just always say just pay. Just pay. And
No.
we were audited one time early
Horrible.
on, and what had happened is my mother, who had become very ill, was
Sure.
taking care of all of that stuff. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And she had made an error in some payroll, which red flagged us, and they say nothing red flags you, but that's not true. And then she passed away before the audit.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
it was very hard on so many levels,
Sure, sure.
But so after that, it was like I pay, and I'm terrified of the IRS, and I don't want to ever get on their radar, and so I keep professionals to do that. I
Yes.
don't mess around with that stuff.
No, you shouldn't.
Yeah. So there'll always be need for your services.
Well, that's good to know, because,
Unless California runs all the businesses out.
I got to have something to pay the mortgage,
So do
right?
you guys, yeah, right. Do you guys do nonprofits as well?
We have a few nonprofits
Okay.
that we do, and we've got a couple of organizations that specialize in union work.
Oh, wow.
So we've got a wide variety, but mostly S corps.
Yeah, small
And-
business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
S corps. I've got some that are $13 million S corps, but
Yeah,
you
it's still
know,
small business, right?
yes,
It's small
compared
business.
to some.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but then so like we're micro, we would be
Right.
considered micro business, right? Yeah.
All businesses are valuable in the state
Oh.
of California. So
Well, at least in the cities of
Yeah,
California, right? Okay, so we have a list of questions I had put
Okay.
out to the community. I had said that you would be on, and I put out to the community. And I do want to say I really appreciate everybody who got back to me and private messaged me your questions. And so I took the most poignant ones I felt like were going to be something that would reach a greater broad of people.
Thank you.
And so, what you want to dive in?
Sure.
You ready?
Pepper away.
Deep breath. We got
Yeah.
our water here.
We're all good.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Here, let's clink for the new year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Diving in.
diving in. So how long have you been an accountant?
Well, I started my own business many years ago, and when I got elected as a council member, I went, okay, sit at my desk and do work or go help people.
Yeah.
It was a challenge.
Well,
And then I got a great offer from Dougherty CPAs. This was almost 16 years ago.
yeah.
And I've been working for Steve Dougherty ever since.
Okay. Awesome.
So love it.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good. You're a real people person too.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I like to think that I am. I'm not
Yeah.
always so sure, but it's important to let my clients know how much I care about them, because they really don't care about what you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
And I try really hard to make that happen.
Yeah, and I feel like too in your position, your clients really, they don't want they want you to do it. Like they don't need to know all the stuff, right?
No.
They want to hire you so you can know all the
That's
stuff.
right. That's right.
Yeah, that's how I think that's one of the things that my business coach always teaches is surround yourself with professionals and
Yep.
let them do their job.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good motto to have.
It is.
Oh, okay. So let's move on. How long have you lived in Lodi?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm a third generation Lodian.
Woo!
I was actually born on School Street. You know where the new Papa Pablo's is going?
Yes.
There's a little rest home right next door, which used to be called Mason Hospital, and I was born there in
No kidding.
1961. So,
Really?
yeah. So I was gone for a brief while. I lived up in Lake Tahoe, in my 20s. And
Ooh, 20s in Lake Tahoe.
yeah, it was a good time.
That was fun.
Then I came back home and realized there was a lot of work in Lodi to do.
Yeah. Lodi needs
And
some
I've been
work.
here ever since.
Awesome. Okay.
So the majority of my life I've lived in Lodi.
So 3 generations, though.
Yeah, my grandparents came to Lodi in 1932, and my grandfather started the first welding shop.
Oh.
And so there has been a business owner with the name of Mounce for over, 80 some years in the city of
Oh,
Lodi.
What a nice legacy.
Yeah, it
Do
really
you have
is.
any siblings?
I am an only child,
Okay.
but
So it kind of dies with you, huh?
well, I have lots of cousins. and
Okay.
other relatives.
They're keeping it going.
They're keeping it going.
The
So when I
pressure
say-
was off you.
Yeah, when I say my family, I don't mean the direct family.
Sure.
But,
The Mounce
overall-
family.
The Mounce family.
Yeah,
Mhm.
cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so we're going to segue into the political career.
Sure.
Which is, I know you're kind of probably feeling like you're on the hot seat a little bit, but you're not.
It's okay.
When did you decide to run for city council?
Oh, boy. Well, when I came back from Lake Tahoe and I actually was renting a little small studio behind my aunt and uncle's house. And gosh darn it, they were in their 80s, and they used to love to sit on their front porch and drink iced tea.
Yeah.
But there was little gang members across the street that were harassing
This
them.
is the 80s?
This was the 90s.
Oh, 90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I returned back to Lodi in 1990.
Okay.
And I was pretty upset about that. And as I drove around town, I saw that the east side, which was where I
going
was
to say,
brought
was it
up,
east side? Yeah.
was really starting to deteriorate.
Yeah.
So I'd heard about this new blue ribbon committee that was being started called the Lodi East Side Improvement Committee.
Yeah.
So I started going, and I became very involved. One thing I noticed right away is when we would go to the council meetings and tell them what the East Side needed and try to promote our cause, the council members' eyes would glaze over, and they were completely out of touch what was happening in our older parts of town. And
Yeah.
I just decided after a time that maybe somebody who lives on the east side actually should run for city council. And
I
so did.
remember that. I
Yeah.
remember when you ran for city council the
Oh.
first time.
Yeah, that was probably not so
They,
great.
the Good Old Boy Network did not want you on the city board.
No, I think that there was some concern that my outspoken nature would be,
a problem for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when you have nothing to lose, well,
Right.
somebody can't control you if you don't have anything they can control.
Exactly. That's right. Okay, so, and when was this? This was the 90s, right?
Well, I worked with the improvement committee all the way up until 1997.
Okay.
And then I volunteered for the year 2000 committee, and then I got on the city manager's budget finance committee.
Okay.
So that I could start to learn about the city and how it worked, and the blue bucket of money and the red bucket of money,
Yeah.
and you can't use transportation dollars for police,
Yeah.
and so that when and if I was ever honored with the opportunity to serve, that I'd actually be able to hit the ground running instead of having a huge learning curve.
Right. So you kind of like, you started soft.
Oh yeah, I sat in the back of those council
Yep.
chambers for
Yep.
5 years,
Yeah.
so that I can see what was happening and who the players were and
Yeah.
how the funds were being dispersed, so that I had.
And how
I
did
had
you
a good
feel?
understanding.
What kind of, because you kind of had a bird's eye view then,
Sure.
because you were on some of the committees and stuff, so
Yeah.
you were getting to see stuff that even wasn't being seen in the council meetings.
Sure.
And so how was that? Did you felt that there was a real need to have somebody like grassroots almost, right?
Yeah, I still consider myself an advocate.
Yeah.
And for causes.
Yeah.
Even though I've been a council member for so long.
Yeah.
I see the problems that are in Lodi, and I just want to go solve them and champion them.
Yeah.
But the role that I'm in now, it's kind of odd, because it seems as if at times I look back on my career and maybe I got more done as just a citizen volunteer than I actually get done as a council member.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah, because then you've got to get 4 other people to agree with you.
Right.
And sometimes it's easier working behind the scenes,
Right.
which I've gotten really good at. So I'm happy with where I'm at right now.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. So how long have you served? You've been on since when? So when were you elected?
I was elected in November of 2004, and I took my first oath of office in December of 2004 and hit the ground running. And I remember some of my very first council meetings, because we were going through the TCP, PCE groundwater contamination. We fired the attorneys.
that.
Oh yeah,
That was huge.
You're-
That was back
yeah.
when there was still a
That was
newspaper
huge.
getting
And,
delivered.
I basically said Lehman Brothers is who the previous council member borrowed all that money from.
Okay.
And we just said, hey, Lehman Brothers, sue us. I
Yeah.
dare ya,
Yeah.
because we're not going to pay you.
Yeah.
And 3 days after we told them that, Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. And we saved the city of Lodi millions of dollars, which nobody ever remembers. But
Yeah. Now, the groundwater.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm going to get this wrong, because I might get something wrong.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah,
It's a
I
long
do.
time
I
ago.
get stuff wrong a
That's a
lot.
long
too.
time ago.
I get stuff wrong from yesterday.
No.
So, if I remember correctly,
Uh-huh.
was the meat packing plant out. Victor, was it Victor Meat Packing?
Well, actually, I think the main cause of the TCP PCE groundwater contamination was dry cleaning.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
oddly enough, downtown was a real hub of dry cleaning
It was like
facilities.
Yeah.
And then the other operation that, and some will say they didn't or did, is newspapers.
Right. I remember that now.
So-
It's coming back to me.
Yeah. So it was tough going after people that you care about, that are a part of the community.
And had been for a long time.
Yeah, and I think the council that I was involved with didn't want to do that.
Right.
We were more concentrated on actually cleaning the water up
Yeah.
and stop the suing of people.
Yes.
Because I'm not an advocate of
Yes.
lawsuits anyway.
Yeah.
I want to just get the business done.
Yeah, what was done was done, and
Yeah.
especially often it wasn't even illegal at the time. They
No,
were just doing
Of course not.
practices. You
Exactly.
can't go backwards and be like,
Yeah.
make them stop moving forward and then
Right.
clean up the mess.
Right. But to expect all those, family businesses
Yeah.
to pay the cost of the cleanup
Yeah.
through lawsuits. Heck, we spent way more money suing people that we could have easily gotten on a path to clean up. So I'm just really glad to have been part of the council that made those decisions
To
to save the citizens of Lodi millions of dollars
Yeah.
and to get the water cleaned up.
Yeah, good for you. Good
yeah,
for you
yeah.
guys. Yeah, I don't remember all the nuances. I was still raising children back then and
Okay.
chasing high school students. So my boys were giving me grief back then, but I remember
Sure.
reading it in the paper and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, good for you
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
All right, let's see what else we have. Okay, so we did have somebody ask, why do you serve in this capacity and what do you hope to accomplish?
Well, one, I like to be an outspoken person that can be an advocate of the people.
Yep.
But most importantly, to bring a voice to the East Side, because so often, let's be frank, the folks who live in the older parts of Lodi are hardworking families
Yeah.
who are just working hard to put food on the table
Yep.
and raise their children. They don't have time to be advocates and voices. And I have that time. So,
Yeah.
and it's almost a passion. My grandma used to tell me all the time, JoAnne, you have a really big mouth. You better figure out how to use it.
Good for you.
And I feel like this is a
You
place
did,
for me
yeah.
to, put my big voice and my big opinion
Yeah.
and try to help people at the same time. Because my grandma taught me that was the important part of being a good citizen in your
Yeah.
community, is to give back and help people.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Even if it's, getting their garbage can dumped
Yeah.
or getting their street light fixed.
That's right.
I mean, I get to do that at least 3 to 4 times a week. And that is so much gratification.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. I think
Yeah.
community is hugely important, and for some reason, we all got away from community.
Yeah.
I grew up on a military base,
Sure.
and everybody pitched in to do everything,
Right.
And a military base in the South, and so I brought that. I live in Woodbridge, and I brought that philosophy to my community, and that's kind of where Woodbridge is a tight little community.
Oh,
We
I
do
know.
a
I
lot.
always look at you and go, "There's the mayor of Woodbridge,
Yeah,
man."
no.
Yeah.
No, I'm just the busybody. I'm just a local busybody. That's what I say.
Well, thank goodness
Somebody
for
else
busybodies.
can be.
Thank goodness
yeah,
for them.
somebody else can be the mayor. But yeah, I agree with that. I think that that's it. And I think also being a voice for the older part of Lodi has been such a big. It's definitely showcased on social media, and I feel like a lot of the social media groups in Lodi, groups, especially on Facebook, really the citizens care about you. They listen to you. They tag
thank
you
you.
in things because they know you're listening.
Right. Well, I try to listen. I try to be a part of the conversation, even though some people tell me you need to shut up and stay off of Facebook.
I don't agree with that.
I have opened myself up so that the citizens can contact me
Yeah.
and let me know when there's a problem in their neighborhood. So, for example, on Saturday, I got a Facebook message from some young lady I did not know, and she says, "Hey, my street light's out." And by Monday morning, I had someone out there to fix it.
See, that's
So,
old. That's a small town blessing.
Yeah, it really is.
Yes.
And it's my way of that I can connect with people on a different
Yeah.
level, and at the same time help you with those little things.
Yeah.
Because if I can't get people to be the eyes and ears of the community, then I got to get out there and help do that.
That's right.
Because I'm amazed at how busy our staff is. Because we all are driving around.
Yeah.
I mean, don't other people see these things?
Yeah.
But sometimes I think we're all just
Blinders.
right, and
We-
we're
you
thinking
see
about
this
only
way. Yeah.
what we got to do instead
Yeah.
of opening it up and seeing.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly. I think I drive staff crazy with my phone
Your-
calls.
your
we gotta
honey-do
go-
list.
We got to do this, and
Yeah.
there's a code enforcement violation over here, and
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Lodi is an amazing town. I love Lodi. We have a business in Lodi, and I have property in Lodi. So I love Lodi. I didn't grow up in Lodi, but we moved here when I was 13, and I lived in group. So I guess kind of spent my teenage years in Lodi,
Yeah.
which was a lot of fun. We were sharing
Yeah,
some
it was.
stories,
Yep.
and lived in Lodi until probably 25 years ago. So
Awesome.
yeah, so Lodi is amazing, and we're lucky to have you. And
Thank
I
you.
think you're one of the only council members who are on the groups who respond to people on Facebook. And so you're thought very well of, because a lot of the people who are on Facebook and in these groups are the people that you're serving. I mean,
It's
they're the
my
ones.
job,
That's your,
right.
yeah.
It's my
so
job.
the fact that you're using a modern technology in order to stay connected to the people, I think is a blessing.
Thank you.
Right? And it kind of brings back a small town vibe.
It does.
Because people can now get a hold of you if they need to.
And hopefully people consider me their friend,
Yeah.
because I am.
Yeah.
I'm the friend of the city of Lodi, and if you're a citizen of the city of Lodi, hey, we're friends.
That's right. No, I like it. I think
Thank
it's
you.
good. And I like your availability on Facebook. That's how I got a hold of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
being open because a lot of people aren't. A lot of people aren't. Okay, next question.
Oh boy.
Okay, well, let's talk about something that you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Work with the League of California Cities and your time as president.
Thank you.
Let's talk about that.
Well, sometimes, and I think there's quite a few people in the community that can appreciate this. When you're not embraced by your own council,
Yes.
and yet you have so much to offer,
Yes.
you got to find a place to put all that.
Right.
And so I was blessed with the opportunity to be the liaison for the League of California Cities. So I started in the division. I worked my way up. I was division president, division director, which gave me
Wow.
a seat on the board of
Yeah.
directors with the state organization. I became friends with just amazing people. And before you knew it, I'd worked myself up to president of the League of California Cities. And by the way, only 2 council members from Lodi have ever served in that capacity. One was in 1952.
Wow.
And then, of course, me in
So
2016.
2, meaning you're one of the 2.
I'm one of the 2.
1952. Do you know who was the other?
I had his name,
That's okay.
but I have
That's all
forgotten
right.
it
It's hot.
since.
You're on the hot seat
Yeah,
right now.
and it's just such an amazing opportunity to get an understanding of not only state legislation and federal legislation, but to advocate with personal stories on behalf of the 482 cities in the state of California. And granted, it's tough being in front of
Yeah.
a crowd of
That
2,000 and 3,000
large, yeah.
people, and trying to relay your messages. But it was such an honor to
Yeah.
be able to do that.
I bet.
Because that's a highly sought after position.
What's the
and
function of the League of?
League of California Cities is a 120-year-old lobbying agency.
Okay.
So stop and think about a large city like San Francisco,
Okay.
who has the funding and the need to have an actual lobbyist on staff. Well, small communities like Lodi don't have lobbying
right.
opportunities.
Yeah.
So we pay dues to the League of California Cities, and they lobby on our behalf.
God.
For example, right now we've got an issue on getting this is a tough topic, a fairer share of property taxes. Because, city of Lodi only gets 1%
Right.
of people's property taxes.
Right.
We think that ought to be a little bit more.
Right.
And the county and the state ought to share more. So we're working with the league to see if they can try to push some legislation that would mandate and make it more fair for cities.
Smaller cities
Right.
get a bigger cut.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Lodi is actually not a small city in comparison
Right.
to
Yeah.
all the cities in the state.
Yeah.
But if there was some minimum share
Mm-hmm.
that we could tap into, then we would be able to do more in our communities. So that's one of the most recent things
Yeah.
that the league has done for the city. But sharing of information, every city has similar issues.
Yeah.
And rather than trying to recreate the wheel, you go to the league and they've got the legislation and
they have
everything
a
ready to
big,
go.
so they have everybody together. So it's
Oh,
like a
gosh.
co-op. They have a bigger
Yes. Exactly.
voice. So you're not just going up against San Francisco,
Right.
who's going to have a louder voice than Lodi,
Right.
but as a group, you've got a bigger voice.
And the League of California Cities is actually sponsored and passed legislation. So Sacramento knows that we're coming. I
Yeah.
remember working really hard on Prop 22, which was to protect local funds because the state was coming in and taking our money from us. So we passed legislation. I remember walking streets and getting signatures and having fundraisers. And the league together, we passed that. And it was pretty phenomenal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the state's always trying to money grab, right?
Well,
I'm going to
Yeah,
take you
I mean,
down
I mean,
another
I
rabbit
don't-
hole, right? That's
wanna
a topic for another show.
Don't want to pick on the state or the federal government for that
Yeah.
matter. It's our goal just to make sure that both arms of government recognize the fact that cities are a major part, and we all need to work together for
Yeah.
the common goal of the citizens in which we represent.
Right.
And it's our job to educate our legislators on the ill effects of their legislation they're passing. They don't sometimes know that legislation may really hurt
Impact something.
a city. Right.
Yeah. A city that doesn't have any wiggle room.
Exactly.
Right.
And then fighting for local control.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the things that I really fought for.
Yeah.
And even though they were done on a state level, they truly affect Lodi.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, good
Yeah.
job.
Thank
So you were past president,
Yep.
and you've held some very. You were also Tell me a little bit about the story you were telling me earlier.
Oh, well, it's interesting. As League of California president, I got a call from, and I'll just go back a bit. Okay. So League of California Cities is 120 years old, and in its history, it had never had a female director.
Okay.
And the director comes to me at the time, who is a really great gentleman, Chris McKenzie, and he says, "JoAnne, I'm going to retire." Oh my heavens! What a huge amount of responsibility for me to go out and find his replacement. But this would be my job as the new president of the league. So we interviewed people, and I'm just grateful that we had the opportunity to interview this young woman, dynamic lady, and I was the chairman that hired the first woman and an African-American woman to boot to serve as the president or as the director of the League of California Cities.
That's
I'm very
amazing.
proud of that. In addition to that, I've been able to sit as chairman of the nominating committee and help influence the current executive officers. And I've got not only a female director, but I have 3 incoming presidents, women.
Oh, fantastic.
But the league has really kind of been on the forefront of having women in leadership. Helen Putnam was the first woman president of the league. She had been elected in 1966 to the city of Petaluma. And she became president in 1978. And since then, 39% of all the presidents of the league have been women.
Now that's an amazing statistic, because
is.
I had shared with you that and I want to segue into that really quickly, and then because I kind of skipped a couple of questions, but we'll go back.
That's okay.
18% of all publicly traded corporations have women. So that's a big disparity between men and women on publicly traded boards.
Yeah.
Now, I know the state of California had passed Senate Bill 826, and it was signed into law to basically advance equitable gender representation on California boards. So basically, by the end of December 31st, 2019, there was supposed to be 2 or more women, and then another big jump is the end of the 2021.
Right.
And there's some big fines if they don't comply. Now, my question though is for you, not necessarily on corporation boards, but on municipality boards.
Right.
So do you know anything, and maybe you don't, on the disparity between, if it's on publicly traded boards, it has to equate over to municipality boards as well, right?
Not real sure about that legislation, as I didn't really follow that one. But I will say this, that I think it has been a good change that the city of Lodi has kind of taken in the last couple years. And I applaud my mayors who have those choices. I've got 5 women on our planning commission right now. That's more than we've ever had before.
That's awesome.
I think we need some work on our Parks and Recreation Commission.
Okay.
But I think generally they are hearing that call to responsibility.
So would you say, and I know you're just hypothesizing, you don't have any firm data, but would you say that the big disparity between male and female board members is pretty much probably across the board, not just specific to publicly traded entities?
I would say it's probably across the board.
Okay.
I mean, I look at the city of Lodi, and we only have had 5 women ever. And we were established in 1906.
Wow, really? 5 women ever?
And
on the whole city council?
On the whole city council. So we had, back in 1952, oh goodness, her name is failing me, Mabel. And she served as mayor. She only served 1 term. And then we had Evie Olson in the 80s, who served a few years, and she was mayor a couple times. Susan Hitchcock.
Yep.
She served for numerous years and was mayor a few times. We've never had a woman be mayor more than 3 times.
Really?
I mean, more than 2 times. Which then kind of leads me to wonder, is that why they won't let me be mayor again? Because they know I would be making history by being a woman to serve as mayor. Now, it may just be my outspoken nature. It may be I'm a pain in the ever-loving backside.
But that's kind of your job, is to be a pain in the ever-loving backside on
I
behalf
think
of your
so.
citizens.
I think it is.
Yeah. So let me ask you this then. So you've been mayor twice then, so the third time would make it history.
They would make it history because I'd be the first woman.
When was the last time you were mayor?
2012. They've skipped me over in 16 and then just again recently.
Okay, and then
Oh, goodness.
no, that's not okay. Like, I'm all about the women and
I know.
Yeah, and I'm all about, we do the heavy lifting.
Right. Well, I don't know their reasonings. They've not shared those reasonings with me. I take some wild guess.
Is it normal to have a mayor appointed by the city council instead of elected by the citizens?
Good question. So there are 2 different kinds of cities. You could be a charter city, kind of like Stockton, where the nature and how the city runs is put to the vote of the people. And those usually have mayors. Some have strong mayors. But Lodi is a general law city, which basically there's guidelines put forth by the state of California, and it lays out the dynamics.
Okay.
Many cities have appointed mayors, usually smaller cities that are general law. So it's not unheard of by a long way, but
Lodi has also grown a lot.
Lodi has grown a lot. And I will say this, that it doesn't help the council work as a cohesive team when there's this underlying feeling of being skipped over. It just doesn't feel right. And I'll remember something that council member Larry Hansen said once. The results of not choosing her as mayor would be way worse than if we do.
Yeah.
And despite phone calls that I'm sure he got from other movers and shakers in the community who do not support me, and I could name those, but I'm going to choose not to.
Yeah.
I'm sure they received phone calls, and Larry was an independent thinker.
Yeah.
And did what he thought was right versus being told what to do by somebody else.
Right.
And that's really what all this comes down to.
Yeah. It's about maintaining control and
So, I mean, from my perspective, I'm still getting everything that I want to get done finished. Would it be helpful to do that as mayor? Yeah, I think it would, especially with some issues that are currently facing Lodi right now. But maybe that's why they don't want me in that position.
Right.
Because they know I would be taking a very hard stance on some of these issues.
Gotcha.
And they are not doing that. So.
Gotcha. Okay, but that's something for everybody to... Now, how difficult would it be to get the city structure changed over to...
Yeah, so what would have to happen is a citizen, and I believe Spencer Rhodes is trying to tackle that now.
Yeah.
And he's got this idea of the elected mayor measure. He has to collect signatures. He's got to get 10% of the last voting roll of the citizens of Lodi. And once he's done that, he could present it to the city council and say, okay, I'm going to put this on the ballot. You can either choose to do it, or I'm going to force you to. And then it goes on the ballot.
He'll have to force the city council.
I think he'll have to force the city council.
They're not going to. They're going to go kicking and screaming.
I have brought this up to my colleagues, and I think one of my colleagues would like to see it happen.
Wow. Well, you got one.
I got one.
Now, also what had happened recently is the districts.
Excuse me. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So can you explain a little bit about how that works?
Sure. Well, you've got to live in your district, and we were being sued by an organization called Memeber, who basically said there's no brown people on your board.
Okay.
And that you need to add...
Fair representation.
A greater possibility of someone to be elected from a 51% majority of Latino voters. Well, that's my district.
Oh, okay.
And a local organization went out and found a young lady to run against me, but apparently she's moved out of the district. So
Oh, okay.
I do intend on running again.
Yeah.
Because I still think I have a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah.
Districts are interesting, and I don't know if we get the elected mayor, if that happens to go through, then we would make it 4 districts and a mayor.
Right.
And I'm not sure how that would work to still have a 51% Latino district. But we would have to, or I'm sure this organization would come back and try to sue us again.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do what's right for Lodi, and
Right.
Lodi does have a high Hispanic population and
We
should
do.
be represented.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, that'll all fall in place as it does.
Exactly.
I kind of liked that they were doing the district because always growing up, it was always, this certain group of people got to run the city and that
Right.
nobody else had a voice. So
Right.
the idea behind the district is good.
Sure.
But
it is.
it's as long as it's,
Oh, I remember sitting in a car with, I used to belong to Rotary.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in a car with a bunch of Rotarians, and I remember this guy turning around to me and saying, JoAnne, you don't have a chance in the world of getting elected. Nobody from the east side will ever get elected. And I got elected, which was quite interesting.
Yeah, you had to work your butt off to get elected.
Me and my mother walked 42 precincts.
I remember.
It was a lot of work.
When you were
Yeah, it was a
going
lot of
through
work.
all that. I was raising
Yeah.
babies, so
Yeah,
I
it
wasn't
was-
as
thank
active.
you.
But I
It was a lot of
remember,
work. It was a lot
and
of
you
work.
had a lot of pushback. There were a lot of people who didn't,
Yeah, I think there was a lot of pushback, but you know what? I just
kept at it.
Yeah.
You had the grassroots.
Yep.
It was a grassroots effort.
I was tenacious.
Well, and you had a lot of support.
Oh, thank you.
You
I
had
appreciate
helped
that.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
Yeah, I don't
You
either.
know?
I mean, I'm grateful that people believe in me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We'll talk off camera sometime about my thoughts on
Okay.
that, all that
Okay.
stuff. Nobody wants to hear what I think. Okay, so let's move on. Thank you. That was very good. I really appreciate that. You explained
you.
that very well. And I
Appreciate
think that the audience now has an idea of what's kind of going on and what
Yeah.
they have coming up and what it's nice to know about Spencer Rhodes. And I'd love to invite him to come onto the show.
Oh, yeah, he's a really dynamic young guy.
Yeah.
Who actually works as a lobbyist for the state of California.
I
he
saw
would
one
have
of his
so much-
lives, and
Yeah.
I thought it was a parody.
Oh, well, he
You
does
know,
some of those. So.
Well, I had come across him and I
Yeah.
saw him. He was in his car and he was like, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was a joke because he was so animated.
No,
and
he's-
I commented and said,
No.
this
No.
is funny. And he came back and he's like, I'm like, oh man, this guy's serious.
He's
Okay, now I
serious.
want to watch all his stuff.
He's
you know,
very animated. He's a drummer.
I would
Yeah.
love to have him on.
Yeah, he's a great
You
guy.
need to put me in touch with him.
Sure.
I'd love to help get that
I'm happy to
get
do
that
so.
out there.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's move on
right.
to let's touch on the 19th Amendment.
Well,
We-
you know, this kind of all leads back to everything that we've really just been talking
Okay.
about in women in leadership.
Yes.
And, you know, this year is the 100-year celebration of the women's suffrage.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, it is.
And, you know, what an awesome time for other women to support other women. And women in leadership is so important.
It is.
You know, I'm just going to say I'm a Republican by
Yeah.
choice, and I really believe strongly in fiscal responsibility,
Right.
which is why I'm a Republican.
Right.
But I watched some award show the other night, and somebody said that women are the greatest voting base in our country, but yet our country doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
And when you look across, even at city council,
No,
why
it
isn't
doesn't.
there
It doesn't look like that.
2/3 women on the board
Exactly.
instead of
Right. That's my issue. I say
Yeah.
the war on women in polite society is
Right.
happening every day.
Yeah.
And in so many ways. So
Yeah. So I think it's just an opportune time to teach young women. And I was in touch with this Girl Scout leader the other day, and apparently she's got an entire plan set up for all kinds of events to get Girl Scouts involved in the
Good.
suffrage celebration.
Oh.
And you know, I'm a Girl Scout myself, and to see young women recognizing the fact that they can be a boss
Yes.
and that they can be a leader,
Yes.
and that they can look at me and say, I want to be a leader like her someday.
That's right.
That is so awesome for me, and I am going to be working with her group, Andrea's group, as well as another group that's put on by a woman named Carol. And I want to try to put the two together so that the celebration is huge.
Yeah.
And to start bringing attention to women in leadership in all levels of leadership.
Yeah.
From business owners like yourself
Yeah.
to council members to, state legislators. We've got a slew of them right here in our own backyard. We need to celebrate them.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing that 100 years later we still have so much work to do. So much work to do.
Yeah, isn't it though? But
but no, we're here and we're going to do the work.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom was one of the first original ERA activists, right, in the South when they did marches and everything.
Yeah.
And that
amazing.
It was amazing. It was an amazing time, and so I remember all of that. I was there, little girl, at the marches. We lived in Georgia, and so it was kind of it was explosive, right? Wives were getting run over by their husbands, and told to get home and all the things. That's not happening anymore, thank God. But
no, it's not, and that's great. We should be grateful for that. I'm grateful that I'm a woman that's been given just a tremendous amount of opportunity in government leadership.
Okay, you took risks and did the hard work.
Of course I did.
Yeah, so I always like to listen to the nuances. So you said I was given, but you really weren't given much.
No, I wasn't.
You kind of just went out there and took it, sister.
That's true.
Yeah.
When I say given, I mean here's the opportunity.
Right. They were there, but you went out and grabbed them.
And I went out and grabbed them.
And that's what we need to teach our daughters.
Yes.
And our granddaughters.
That they can do and be anything they want.
Yes.
I remember my grandma used to say all the time, you can do anything you want, you do it, but don't expect to change the world.
Oh.
You can start in your own backyard.
You can change your neighborhood.
You can.
And then you change your community. That's right.
And I think if all women thought in those terms, we'd have a leadership. We'd have a leader on every corner.
Yes.
And what a great world this would be.
I agree.
I mean, I hate to simplify it so much, but
it's true.
It could be.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I think us older women, we support the younger women, and we show them the way to pull them up. And this whole we talked a little bit about the changing the language.
Yeah.
Like changing how we speak about each other, changing how we network with each other, becoming more inclusive and pulling each other together. I mean, everybody who knows me knows that's my way. That's what I'm like, I'll scream it from the,
And I like I said, I was running one more time, but after that, I'm kind of done.
Really?
I think so. I think I got one more term left in me. And then it's time for me to go away and let some new young person step into that. But I'd really like to be able to mentor that young person so that she could have the same strength and voice and know how to do it. That I had to fight so hard for. And I'd love to have that opportunity, and I hope it comes my way in the next 4 years so that I can foster and mentor the next leader to take my position.
Good for you. Good for you.
It's time to start me paying it forward. I mean, I'm going to retire in a few years.
I got you. Yeah. You're going to pay it back, actually. Exactly. Pay it down. Pay it. Yeah. Oh, like, let's pull our little daughters and granddaughters up.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. I'm all about it. I think that's fantastic. Good for you. So I think we've already asked a lot of these questions. Okay, so let's move into some of the nitty gritty stuff that the Lodi people want to know about. So we talked all about our sisterhood, and we're gonna form a club. We're gonna do wine tasting, and we're gonna take over the world.
Okay.
What are the issues that you believe are most critical for Lodi right now?
We got two really in your face kind of issues, and I'm sure the public sees one, but not the other. The one is homelessness.
Right.
They're everywhere.
Right.
And it's not just the city of Lodi. It's every city in the state of California. I talk to council members all over the state, and we're all faced with very similar issues.
Yeah.
I find that the more you do for the homeless, the more homeless you have.
Right.
So, for example, you go to Ripon, they got 6 of them Why?
Because they don't do anything
They
for
don't
them.
do
They
anything.
don't want them
They
there.
they don't have a Salvation Army.
Yeah.
They don't have any services. So the more that you try to lift them up, the more that will come. Now,
Right.
somewhat help, some don't.
Yeah.
I think we have a huge mental health problem
We do.
and a huge drug
We
addiction
do.
problem.
We do.
And until the state recognizes that, and I believe the governor just released another $100 million bill that's going to address the mental health issues
Oh, really? That's
today
great.
from the current budget, that maybe we're going to start seeing something. But the problem is that it's moving at a glacier pace,
Yeah.
and the public's getting really tired of that. I would like to see it move quicker. I would like to see, I've got a laundry list of things that I would do,
Yeah.
but I'm constantly fighting with our city attorneys to make those things happen.
Oh, because their job is to make sure we don't get in trouble.
Their job is to make sure that
Yeah.
that we aren't sued by the homelessness advocates
Yeah.
and breaking the state laws.
Yeah.
Because there's several
Yeah.
laws out there that give
Yes,
the
I know.
homeless a great deal of protection.
Yeah.
The other issue is pensions, and it's been an issue for a
Right.
while, but it's going to really reach its peak here in about 3 years.
Okay.
As we all know, we just passed Measure L,
Yep.
and that was to keep the lights on
Yep.
and make sure we have enough officers to deal with the increasing crime as a result of AB 109 and Prop 47. Dial some of that back. We got enough to keep the lights on for a while, and hopefully it's enough to get us through the peak. There's going to be a
Wow.
point where we're going to have to start dipping into our reserves, but I think we're going to be all right. It's just the state needs to come to terms with, it's the big white elephant in the room. People.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a complex issue, the homeless issue. And there's a lot of questions people sent. So
Yeah, and I get people's aggravation about pensions and the homelessness, but those are the biggest two issues.
the pensions, the pensions is like something that the homeless too, but the pensions I know because of working with the fire district for Woodbridge.
Right.
That's an issue. I mean,
well, we promised it to all these people. You can't take it away.
No.
But you got to change it moving forward.
Yeah. And they're not, and that's slow moving, and it's just, we're creating an even bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger problem.
Well, Lodi, we've adopted the PEPRA, which is the lower retirement. So everybody new coming in has a much less lucrative package.
Yes.
But you can't take it away from those you've promised it to.
Yeah.
It's not right.
And there should be a difference too, and I'm probably going to not be very popular for saying this, but there should be a difference between city employees and first responders.
Right.
In my opinion. So
now there's a big difference
in the pension
retirements.
There is.
Oh gosh, first responders get a way more lucrative.
They should.
Yeah,
they should.
Well, tell that to your
I know.
your general,
I'm
the
not,
guy
I
at the
hold no office and pay no bills.
The guy at the water treatment plant thinks he's a public safety guy too because he's got control of your water and your sewer.
Right.
So
you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah,
yep. I get it. Yeah, I get it. We're unincorporated in Woodbridge, so we just default everything to San Joaquin County, which can be quite frustrating, and we end up doing a lot of stuff citizens ourselves.
Sure.
But cities are much more complicated, and actually, when the whole sheriff thing happened, where we lost our community car, people were talking about trying to incorporate Woodbridge, and I was like, oh
yeah.
I don't have the energy for that. You guys go ahead. Let me know what you decide on. I don't think so. I'd rather just go do my own thing. All right. Moving on from there. Okay. So you already told us what the issues are. Where do you see Lodi in 5 to 10 years?
Gosh, I think with the blood, sweat, and tears of all the people who've invested their life work into wineries, I think that you're going to see Lodi just continuing on the uphill tourism track.
I love that.
And that's where I think Lodi's headed. And I think that we will continue to be someplace people are going to want to visit.
Well, do you know that is the Lodi wine appellation is the whole reason I started Women of Wine Country?
Yeah, pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah.
That was Brad Alderson and Robert Mondavi.
Just
that
way back.
saw
Yeah,
in the late
they
80s.
saw- yep.
That saw, my sister actually worked
Yep.
for Robert Mondavi, and they saw a vision.
Yeah.
And without having an appellation, then our name wouldn't be on the
Yes.
bottles. And that changed the trajectory of our entire community.
Yes.
I had the honor of speaking at Robert Mondavi's wake at Woodbridge Winery. And I remember telling the audience about, his good life, and that he truly did leave his legacy in every vine, in every grape, in every glass. And everything that Lodi is today was because of his vision.
Yeah.
And it's pretty awesome.
Well, I can tell you that back in the 2000s, like 2006, my husband and I went on the first cruise. I'm not going to say it right. The first cruise of a huge one of the mega yachts for the Royal Caribbean.
Uh-huh.
And on the promenade, because they have like literally a mall, on the promenade was a Robert Mondavi Woodbridge Winery store.
Awesome.
And all the bottles were over $50.
You gotta love
We're
it.
like, really? We just came from home and here's Woodbridge,
Yeah.
but that's how far reaching. So international
come,
people were seeing it
Sure.
and all of it.
Sure.
And now me traveling when I worked for the almond farmer, nobody knew what Lodi was.
Right.
Nobody, unless I said Robert Mondavi Woodbridge, they had no clue.
Right.
And so forming Women of Wine Country was kind of like my idea. So we're still working on getting us out there, but we
Excellent.
are getting a name.
Well, I would love to see a TV show.
Oh, it's coming.
Women of Wine Country, yeah.
It's
It's
coming.
all about the backstories of these women's lives.
Yes.
Their winemaking husbands
Yes.
or their winemaking that they
themselves.
do. Right.
There's
right.
a lot of couples now who own these boutique wineries where the
Absolutely.
women are
Are
just
the winemakers.
as yes.
And I looked to
Yes.
Lucas Winery as
I
well.
was just thinking about them. Well, Viaggio as
Yeah,
well. She's
exactly.
the scientist.
Right.
So if I'm not getting that wrong, but I think
you're
I'm right.
You're right.
And then Clinker Brick. I
Yeah.
mean, they're
Exactly.
So yeah, I think it's
Lots
great.
of opportunity for
And in
Lodi
all
to
my
continue
books,
to grow.
yes, and in all my books, I do put links to the wine appellation and everything.
Excellent.
So I encourage people
Excellent.
to come here and
Good.
and buy our wines, and we're
Yep.
amazing.
Yep.
We're amazing.
We are.
So 5 to 10 years, you see the Lodi wine appellation growing, and
Yes.
and really just kind of bringing tourism here.
I believe so.
love that. I think
Yeah.
that's amazing.
I
What I
believe so.
love is about living in a wine community is all of the culture that comes with it, the art, and the music,
Right.
and the events, and just the
Yeah.
fun that comes with it.
I was speaking to the owner of Papa Pablo's, and
Uh-huh.
the reason that he wanted to come to Lodi, and he was saying, your downtown is vibrant.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are every weekend you have a farmer's market, or
Yeah.
you have an outdoor band of some sort, or
Yes.
you have synergy
Yes.
happening. And I
Yes.
think so long as we continue on that trajectory,
Yeah.
Lodi's going to be on the tongues of everyone.
Yeah,
So-
and it helps all of the surrounding towns
Sure.
because, like Woodbridge, has been helped,
Right.
tremendously,
Right.
and in Campo and all of the outlying
Yeah.
areas.
It's going to lift up the entire region.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, great. And so then we move into how does the city see the homeless issue, and what measures can be taken to offset the impact on downtown businesses?
Well, gosh,
that's an easy one.
Sure. No, it really kind of is an easy one when you stop and think about it. And this happened a few years ago, I guess 2009, when, with the help of the Salvation Army, we moved them off of Sacramento Street and got them out of town, moved them down on Sacramento Street further, and it got most of the homeless or Salvation Army activity off of Sacramento Street. The same thing needs to happen in regards to finding a place for the homeless to be. And I don't mean just a day center. I mean a shelter.
A designated area that they
Right. And I know we have the Salvation Army as a shelter, but that comes with strings.
It does.
You have to be
clean
clean
and
and
sober.
sober. And
You can't bring your animals.
Right.
Men and women are separated.
And I've got a young lady who's not on drugs, who lives at the parking lot at a local liquor store. The owners have given her permission. She's got a dog. She
Yeah.
loves her dog.
Yeah, and their
She
companion.
does not want to go into a facility
Yeah.
without it. So what does the city need to do? We need to find a place off and away from downtown that we can say to the homeless, you can't be here. you have to go here.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
until we do that, whether it be an indoor facility or an outdoor
Where
facility,
they just launch their tents. They're doing that anyway.
That's what we need to do.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
it needs to be supervised. We need to bring the services to them. And it's going to be a tough job trying to find the location.
Yeah.
But that's the answer.
I agree
to
with
downtown.
that. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have several questions left that we aren't going to get to ask you because we ran out of time. This hour went fast. I do want to mention, though, Take Back Lodi.
Yes.
These guys are amazing.
Yes, they
I
are.
know we have to wrap it up, but Take Back Lodi is an amazing program. And JoAnne, I'd love to have you back sometime to talk more about
Thank
this
you.
and
I
maybe
appreciate
even
it.
bring somebody from the Take Back Lodi and and do that together.
We could.
So I'll try to do that and try to get JoAnne scheduled to come back because I know there's going to be a lot of questions. We have a lot of people that are talking right now that are interested in what you have to say.
Thank you.
So I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in, and please, every Thursday from 1 to 2, you can find me here on the Voice of San Joaquin Women of Wine Country show. I am Terry Wells Brown, and we appreciate you logging in.